Welcome to Have History Will Travel. I am your host, the Wilder Historian, and I want to share this primary source from William T. Sherman. The election of Abraham Lincoln set off a firestorm of uncertainty. Secession conventions were meeting and people all over the United States became concerned for their safety and the security of their country. Sherman's letter here demonstrates that uncertainty that not only he felt, but all Americans felt right after the election of 1860. Louisiana State Seminary of Learning and Military Academy, Alexandria, November 23, 1860. My dearest Ellen, I have a letter from the cashier that he sent you the first of exchange. The second I now enclose to you for $290. But by the very mail which brought it came the rumor that the banks were refusing exchange on the North, which cannot be true. Also that goods were being destroyed on the levee in New Orleans and that the custom house was closed. I also notice that many gentlemen who were heretofore moderate in their opinions now begin to fall into the popular current and go with the mad foolish crowd that seems bent on a dissolution of this confederacy. The extremists in this quarter took the first news of the election of Lincoln so coolly that I took it for granted all would quietly await the issue. But I have no doubt that politicians have so embittered the feelings of the people that they think the Republican Party is bent on abolitionism and they cease to reason or think of consequences. We are so retired up here, so much out of the way of news, that we hear nothing but the stale exaggerations, but I feel that a change is threatened, and I will wait patiently for a while. My opinions are not changed. If the South is bent on dissolution, of course I will not ally our fate with theirs, because by dissolution they do not escape the very danger at which they grow so frantically mad. Slavery is in their midst, and must continue, but the interest of slavery is much weaker in Missouri, Kentucky, Virginia, Maryland than down here. Should the Ohio River become a boundary between the two new combinations, then will begin a new change. The extreme South will look on Kentucky and Tennessee as the North, and in a very few years the same confusion and disorder will arise, and a new dissolution, till each state, and maybe each county, will claim separate independence. If South Carolina precipitate this revolution, it will be because she thinks by delay Lincoln's friends will kind of reconcile the middle wavering states, whereas now they may rise the cry of abolition and unite all the slave states. I had no idea that this would actually begin so soon, but the news from that quarter does look as though she certainly would secede, and that Alabama, Georgia, Florida, and Texas would follow suit. All these might go and still leave a strong, rich, confederated government. But then comes Mississippi and Louisiana. As these rest on the Mississippi and control its mouth, I know that other states north will not submit to any molestation of the navigation by foreign states. If these two states go, and Arkansas follows suit, then there must be war, fighting, and that will continue till one or the other party is subdued. If Louisiana call a convention, I will not move, but if that convention resolves to secede on a contingency that I can foresee, then I must of course quit. It is not to be expected that the state would consent to trust me with arms and command if I did not go with them full lengths. I don't believe Louisiana would of herself do anything, but if South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, and Texas resolve no longer to wait, then Louisiana will do likewise. Then of course you will be safe where you are. As to myself, I might have to go to California or some foreign country where I could earn the means of living for you and myself. I see no chance in Ohio for me. A man is never a prophet in his own land, and it does seem that nature, for some wise purposes, may be to settle wild lands, does ordain that men shall migrate, clear out from the place of their birth. I did not intend to write so much, but the day is gloomy, and the last news from New Orleans, decidedly so if true. Among ourselves it is known that I am opposed to disunion in any form or manner. Professor Smith ditto. Unless Lincoln should actually encourage abolitionism after installed in office, Mr. Boyd thinks the denial to the Southern people of access to new territories is an insult to which they cannot submit with honor, and should not let the consequences be what they may. Dr. Clarke is simply willing to follow the fortunes of the South, be they what they may. Foreigners don't care, but will follow their immediate self-interest. Thus we stand about a fair sample of a mixed crowd, but 'tis now said all over the South this issue is made, and better secession now, when they can, than wait till it is too late. This is a most unfortunate condition of things for us, and I hardly know how to act with decency and firmness, and like most undecided men I will wait a while to see what others do. If feeling in South Carolina continues, they must do something, else they will be the laughing stock of the world, and that is what they dread, for all the states they can least afford to secede, as comparatively she is weak and poor. This, on the contrary, is destined to be a rich and powerful one. Love to all, W.T. Sherman. Sherman was not the only one concerned. You find this kind of language used in people's diaries and letters all over the country, and you can feel the urgency and somewhat panic in their words as secession gripped the nation. Thank you all so much for watching. Please subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it, and share these stories to get the word out about the channel. Thank you all, and have a great day.